feelings listening to you do that, and I appreciated hearing other people share their perspectives. And Sister Kathy, thanks for having an event like this. And there's two themes, I think, that tie everything together for me. One is being able to understand the past in a way that informs the decisions we make today. And two, being able to make something beautiful from something that was incredibly destructive and horrific. And I'm not sure that we need to have lived personally those experiences to be able to empathize and to sympathize, because we know fear, we know being alone, we know watching someone we love suffer. We know what it's like to watch another human being suffer, or to watch someone inflict harm on another human being. Everybody in this room knows what that is. So what's beautiful about tonight is that we can share that, and we can use that to do two things. I think own our social and moral responsibility to make sure an event like the Holocaust doesn't happen today, again, and that we look at today injustice, discrimination, racism, hatred, intolerance, abuse of power that we see play itself out in the conditions in America's criminal justice system. And we choose to do something about it. The other thing I liked about the play was it's a series of moments. You know, there's moments, and it's kind of interesting because you have to pay attention to where she is and what's happening, you know? And I know that feeling too, like she's writing a letter. And is she okay? Or is she not okay? Is this good or bad, right? And that fluctuation is so normal. And there's I guess an idea in the criminal justice reform and the sort of restorative approach is that one moment in your life, one mistake you made, one wrongdoing, one thing, shouldn't be that star that you have to wear for the rest of your life. It shouldn't determine everything about how the world looks at you. And so I like that they were moments, because none of those moments define Eddie, and every one of those moments shaped her life and her ability to help us experience the feelings and the insights we had today. So the moment, what got me on this stage, the moment I had, why I went to prison, was because I chose to accept a plea bargain. I chose to go to prison for 6 months instead of go to trial 3 times and face 26 years for a crime that involved no loss to the government, there was no restitution, there was no misspent money, and I was the only one of all the people that were in the case that went to prison. And what I learned at prison are a lot of the things that the gentleman on the panel with me tonight said, but I think the similarities of people being in a cage, of being stripped of your human dignity, of being your basic needs not being met, are very similar to what Eddie describes. And yet she does have this duty. Who said that? Something about a sense of duty. She does everything with a sense of duty to care for others. And I think that that's what I walked out of prison with, that I'm a better person for having gone, and that I'm proud to say that I can relate and sympathize, and I will do what I can to uphold and protect human dignity. And I would invite you to get involved in the criminal justice reform movement, because I think there's something you can contribute to.
For me, when I went to prison, I was 26 years old. Already was fully formed as an adult. Already had a value system that was carefully thought out. I had already pretty much traversed most of the religions, a few of the philosophies, and I came to some specific conclusions where I thought that I understood. I hadn't quite joined the human race, because I still live by constructs that was passed on from my ancestors. Life was organic for me, and I was always in the moment. What I enjoy about the resilience of Eddie is that she was perpetually involved in the present. God, she found within herself. And she had a constant struggle with what was so horrific going on around her. The moment that she was thinking about being kicked to death and walking in the other person's shoes in that moment to connect and try and figure out, damn, what had to happen to you for you to end up like that? Knowing within herself that she would never be a person that could do that. I said in the beginning about my arrest. I come up pretty much as a revolutionary. I go through the Panther phase, I go through the Black Liberation Army. I'm at war, literally. And the people I see, I engage them as soldiers on the battlefield. And I frame our relationship as a power dynamic. They got power, I'll take power. During my arrest, they tortured me, burned me with cigarettes, strangled me till I passed out. And at one point, the officer took the pistol and stuck it down my throat. And the other officers was screaming in the mic, "He's going for the gun, he's going for my gun." And in that moment, all I could think to myself was, if he pulled the trigger, I won't even know it, number one. And number two is that he would ruin his life and the life of his family, because there would be no way that he would be able to establish a justification for powder burns on my tonsils. Years later, I revisit that. And I'm not into the forgiveness in ways that other people are. When I come through Islam, forgiveness is something that you give to a person when you have the power not to. So that's my orientation as I was coming up. And when I revisited that moment, for me, and trying to think about this person's humanity, the only thing that I could come to for reconciliation within myself is that was a teachable moment for us to try and figure out, how could you go to that edge of brutality? How could one human being go so far off the cliff like that? And for me, I try to say to people often, everything that's before us is a part of us. All the brutality, all of the love. And that we fall along that continuum often in cycles. We revisit it whenever we are angry and whenever we experience profound joy. We experience it then as well. And for me, knowing that that possibility exists within who we are, our job is to learn from the great evils and grow toward, agape love. And the ethic that I try to inculcate in all of the children and people that's within my sphere of influence is that every social contact that you have be fully invested in the success of that particular person. If it's only a glass of water, if it's only a help across the street, if it's only $5 because you got 10 and he's homeless, be invested in that person's success and connect us one to the other.